Hello, everyone. Welcome to See Focus. And today we've got something really quite special for all of you. I'm going to just do a little bit of introduction as we wait for some more participants to join us. I recognize this might be a little bit early on a Sunday morning for some people in the art world, but we've been really rocking it out for the last week or so. If you have been in Singapore and just, I guess, fortunate to come here for the fair, it's been super bustling. Yesterday, we even had queues around. And for those of you who might be a little bit newer to us, See Focus is the anchor event of Singapore Art Week. And we have come back for our fourth edition this year. 24 galleries, over 50 works, and we are here in the Tanjong Pagar District Park. Super happy, super glad to have a really wonderful work by Arin Sunaryo coming from here from Row Projects. And so today, what we're going to have is, again, something quite special. Arin's going to take us on a visit of his studio. And just a little bit of a background about Arin. Arin is based in Bandung, Indonesia, and he received his bachelor's degree in painting from the Bandung Institute of Technology and a master's of fine art in Central St. Martin's College of Art in design in London. So he's especially interested in the use of resin as a medium that actually conserves minerals, pigments, and other particles. And he concentrates on the idea of expanding painting through investigating its core constituencies and forms. And recently, his practice has also begun to incorporate elements of video and new media, as well as sculpture. And with this work here at See Focus, again, if you're here and you're fortunate to see it or later today, it's really quite a spectacular work that's measuring 4.5 meters long. And I guess now Arin will begin to take us through the space where he actually creates his work. We had a little bit of a sneak preview earlier on, and again, it is really quite something special. So what we'll have is Arin will take us through for maybe like 30, 35 minutes, and then we'll have Q&A for 5 to 10 minutes. All right. Arin, if you'd like to take us through, please.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Loud and clear.
Okay, hello. Welcome to Bandung. So yeah, I've been working here since 2009. This used to be a gallery, and my father showcase for his craft products. But now I'm taking over the space. So this is my front office. Pagi, it's my wife. So since the studio has a plenty empty room, so I decided to invite artists, young artists, to work here. The more the merrier, to keep me alive and inspiring. Wow, look at this. Beautiful mess. So this is Maruto Ardi. He's a young artist, the most promising young artist in Bandung, from Bandung. Yeah, that's about it. Okay, let's go down to my main studio. So this is where I usually editing my videos. Oh, thanks. And let's go from here. This is Ari. Oh yeah, since my work is, the material is toxic, so I need very big space and have good ventilation. So I kind of make how to create a better airflow in the studio. So this is actually the leftover of the resin that I use for my paintings, for my 2D paintings, but I don't want to just throw away the waste. So I have to keep them here, or at least it should be, I have to make them useful. Oh, probably these things for my one solo show. This is the waste, not the waste, leftover, because waste is like something we have to throw away. But I'm gonna use it for, I don't know, maybe a pillar for my studio later, or a sculpture perhaps. I don't know. And here is the pressing room. I know it's Sunday, but we have a deadline to catch up. So they do the overtime until the deadline is finished. Everything here is homemade. Langsung taruh panelnya aja. In the studio, I have 15 to 20 assistants. They are actually from around this area, so it's quite handy to have an assistant who live nearby. And some of the assistants have been working with my dad, and now working with me since I even born yet. So it's been more than 45 years. So yeah, basically, I'm gonna put the artwork here. Langsung pasang di panelnya. Actually, I don't want to keep. So this is just to keep it steady, because when this part move to this side, it's going to make a pressure between the resin to a panel. So sometimes it can like slide. So this is the way how they do it to keep it steady and fixed. Okay, let's move on to another area, and then we can come back here later. Oh, there you go. So this is one of the works that I show in C-Focus. So I usually make about 5 times or 6 times for one work, because my work mostly the act of accident. So sometimes I cannot feel satisfied with only do one work. This is the spray room, spray gun room, the finishing room actually. So this is I've been exploring with chrome paint. Actually, it's really good. It's now can have a good reflection, like a mirror. This is for my later show in Jakarta in rock projects in February. And here the works I use palm oil coal. I got it from Sumatra, and I show it for the OVR Art Basel. I think in the mid of 2021. Yeah, I think. And here, this is my wife's area. So she's preparing also for the February show, Rock Projects opening. She makes these modules, plastic modules, about, I don't know, thousands, I guess. And she also showed this series in APT. Now it's ongoing show. Yeah. So let's go to my main office or studio. Now see, now they begin to press the work. I use epoxy glue, and sometimes I drilled to keep them sticky and fixed. All right, let's move on. So yeah, this is basically the image of my work. So before they mounted onto wooden panel, they look like this. So I have plenty homework now. Some are very good from my point of view, and sometimes they just so. Oh yeah, this is my dad's monument. So actually the studio, this is like shared studio. My father works here, my wife works here, young artist works here, me as well. So I kind of like that kind of dynamic interaction between people. So yeah, basically this is where everything comes. Yeah, this is still the same palm oil, coal, ash. No ash. Sorry, like a powder. Batu bara tuh apa ya? Coal ya. This is also coal. I got it from Sulawesi, from abandoned mine. And I hope I'm going to use this for my next shows. This is the collection of my pigment. There are various. This one is a synthetic color for plastics. This is foods, spices, and this is volcanic ash and food powder. Yeah. So basically, I work like horizontally. I put everything on this table, and with a jug of resin, I splash the color, the pigment on the top of this table, and then wait for 1 day. The next day, we peeled off the resin on the top from the top of the table and become the sheet of resin that I showed you earlier. So this is also my volcanic ash series. This is old work, and also this one. This technique, I just pour the resin like vertically from the top. So I have to put this glass of table standing. So the graffiti creates these lines from top to bottom. Somehow they can be very lurus apa bahasa Inggrisnya ya, straight, and sometimes just like naturally flowing. And yeah, this is my food series. There are chilies, pigment, chocolate, coffee, and also baby fish. And what else? Oh yeah, Indomie. You know Indomie? Yeah, the instant noodle, the famous instant noodle from Indonesia. I use it for my pigment. I kind of like the color of powdered instant noodles. So yeah, basically that's about it. Shall we go to the Q&A section?
Happy to. So thank you so much, Arin. I mean, just seeing a sense of the space and actually how big it is, I think helps us to understand like how large your works are, but also I think the nature of the material. So I would say for our participants, if you have any questions, you can just type that in, or you can also raise your hand, and then I will be able to take some of the questions. Yeah.
Sorry, one more time.
Sure.
Yeah. So if you can see here under the table, you can see this, all the resin build up over the years. So it creates like a stalactite of resin. So this is like to witness how the resin has been done in the on this table. Like a,
yeah, actually, it's kind of like the witness and in a way the evidence or the expression of actually time, right? Because that's what stalactites are. Is that every day, every month, every year it's slowly the build up. So it's quite beautiful. It's quite like becomes sculpture in a sense.
I know,
but
I really
also,
want to show this work, but I don't know
so
how.
beautiful. I mean, because it's like you could say it's like your longest work in the making. It's going to be like what 10 years. Because that's how much resin has poured on, and also the way that you don't really plan what the form is like, but it also captures your many years of working with this material.
Yeah, that's right.
So are we now headed back to your office space?
Yeah.
It's so proper, like you have this huge studio where you're making these big works and splashing resin, and then you move into the much more kind of very proper office space. I just want to ask you something, I guess, about your material, resin, because that's something that you've been really working with. Resin is actually quite toxic, because
Yes,
of
they
the
are.
fumes and, all of that. But at the same time, it's interesting because you work with it almost like to stop time, right? To preserve things in there, like, like an insect has been trapped in resin or in amber. So resin starts to have these very interesting qualities. Uh, I guess it's just to say, also I noticed that you're working, I mean, with very interesting pigments. So you're actually grinding your pigments like very old school artists used to do in like studios, when before paint became commercially available. I saw your sister actually grinding the charcoal there and sifting that to become the pigment. So you're actually doing quite a lot of experimentation with resin. Even though it's an industrial material because you're trying these pigments. Can you maybe share with us, maybe with some of your experiments, what you thought was maybe the happiest experiment, what worked out really well, or maybe any pigments which didn't work out so well because it's a little bit of trial and error when you're testing out these different materials that don't usually work as pigments.
Okay. So yeah, I started find racing interesting. It was an accident. Actually, it was in 2008. Yeah, 2008 when I came back for holiday from London. At the time, I still live in London. I went to make painting with canvas, but I want to coating the canvas with resin just to have a smooth and shiny surface. And then I come back the next day, and then turn out, well, actually the character of the resin is more interesting than with the canvas itself. So starting that moment, I decided to explore resin, and then I came back to London, and I did the research there because all the information from the distributor is better from in London. They will give everything like health and safety and the technicality and everything. And then in 2009, I came back from London to Bandung for good. From that moment, I decided just do the resin works without canvas or brushes. And I started work with synthetic pigment first because I want to start from zero, experimenting with primary color and plastic color because plastic resin is the same family, and usually we recognize this material from accessories or toys or everything, and the color should be vibrant, primary color, but actually it can be anything, not only color, but it can resemble to material, for example, like marble or stones or even steel. And then in 2010, the Mount Merapi in central Java erupted, and there was volcanic ash like covering the whole village. My friend came to my studio and bring the volcanic ash to me and gave it to me. And when I touched the powder, well, actually, the grind size is quite similar to my synthetic pigment. So I use it. I tried with resin and turned out amazingly good because I still can see the materiality, the grind, the grainy character of the volcanic ash particles, and also from vibrant color, primary color, now it looks like more earth color. So it's, for me, it's quite a revelation moment. From now I can have a narration in my work, not just abstract work, but it also has a capturing like a moment, capturing like history, capturing a narration, and also capturing the moment, because when I work with resin, I have to decide only 10 minutes, because the resin will set between 5 to 10 minutes, so I cannot think very long. Just have to be very spontaneous and very fast. So yeah, basically at the time I realized that, oh, I think this is very related to paintings, this material. I think before photography, before videos, and other documentation gear. Yeah, people paint just to preserve ideas, to preserve moments, and also with writings, it's kind of the act of preserving ideas, and also painting. Yeah, we have to preserving ideas through the painting. So resin, well, I use synthetic resin, but before synthetic resin was made, so if you watch Jurassic Park, there's like a microorganism that trapped into natural resin from pine tree. So that's the idea. So resin will preserve the material, like hopefully thousands of years or maybe more. So that's how I want to. Well, that's actually quite a revelation how this material and paintings can actually relate. And then, yeah, I'm starting for that moment. I use photography as well. From the leftover of the resin, and put it in as a background in my work. So I just want to make, because I always have a leftover from my splash action, and there always also a residue, the leftover from it, and I want the residue become something also part of the work, because they came from the same source, the same material, same moment. So I photograph the residue and become the background of the painting, and somehow they can become a circle, because the cycle, how this work related to each other, even though they have a different visual aspect, but they came from a different same source. So resin is not recyclable material, so I have to make my own cycle. So this is how for me it's the solution for my work. And then move on to my food series. I try turmeric, I try chilies, shrimp paste, MSG, and everything. But surprisingly, turmeric and green tea cannot work for resin. Somehow the resin is just keep sticky and never go hard. So maybe turmeric is good for toxic. So since then I every day drink turmeric and green tea to keep me healthy.
That's
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Very interesting.
The things that are good for your body, because it's been said, yeah, like turmeric is something that is, as a
Yeah,
herb or spice, is something that,
yeah,
it helps your health, longevity, and green tea aids your system. And they just don't work well with the resin material. They change the chemical properties of resin, it
yeah.
seems.
So I started from zero knowledge about the material, like the volcanic ash. I never actually interested to volcano or to geology. But when I use a particular uh, pigment or material, I started to study about the material, do the research about the material. So that's, I think, become like a motivation for me to learn something new outside from the studio or from my interest. So yeah, I think art is it's very useful for me because this makes me want to know something about uh, things that I don't know before.
I mean, I
Yeah,
can see from the way you work with, pigments, and all these materials that you're quite experimental. I mean, so you're, taking a chance of these like materials, you're trying to see how it works. And then you said also with how you work with the resin is you don't know how it's going to turn out because you have to work quite quickly, right? When you
yeah,
pour it, you have to make the decision, see how it's going to go. And when you were in the studio just now, you said, oh, there were like some pieces that, sometimes you're not so happy with. I'm
yeah,
just wondering whether you had times when, because these are actually quite big works, right? That, you took a chance, you tried something, and then at the last stage, you just looked at the work and you went, I don't know about this, because you actually put in quite a lot of effort, but it's a bit unpredictable. And then sometimes it doesn't maybe go the way you want, but then at the final stage, you go like, oh, you know, that's the unpredictable part, right?
yeah. And I find out that the moment before I make a decision where to splash, which color that I will choose for the work, that's kind of a meditative moment because I don't want to make more waste out of it. So yeah, sometimes turned out surprisingly very good, but
Mm.
sometimes make me angry because it's turned out really, really bad and ugly. So well, it depends. Sometimes when uh, that that moment I find it ugly, but the next 3 years or 4 years, and I looked at it again, and oh, actually, this is really good. No, this is very interesting for me. Everything's go organically, and yeah, I cannot
Yeah.
make a plan about which is successful, the one is actually not successful. I cannot say that this one is successful or that one is not successful. So it's very very subjective, and I don't know. Maybe the situation at the time is not right for that particular work, or yeah, it's really interesting.
That is, I mean, that's also about chance, but it's also about instinct because you have to decide in the moment, and then about time, right? Because of
Yeah,
time passing, your own relationships with your works change as well. And I've heard artists talk about this, like sometimes there are works that they don't like at first, and then like later when they come back and they see it differently, they have a different relationship with that. We've got a question from the audience which relates to this, which is, how do you see yourself in the next 10 years?
wow, yeah, that's a
I
long
know,
time.
right? It's like you're just kind of project into the future, but maybe it might also be like with some of the things, the new material that you're trying with now, maybe like with video, with photography. Yeah, projecting to the future can be quite hard.
Okay, but actually, in 2015, I also make a video works. So I use macro lens for my volcanic ash to see the particle of the volcanic ash. It turned out interesting because every particle has a different color. There's bronze, silver, like a stone material. So yeah, that's also the moment that I find that video is really good, really related to my paintings, and also sculpture. Also, I show once, oh no, not once, yeah, many times, together with the painting, the waste, the leftover of the resin, and also the two-dimensional works. And then for my next 10 years, well, starting from, well, not starting from 2001, 2000 to 2021, I'm more active helping my father's running his art space. So it's a non-profit art space called Sullivan Strumpf Art Space. So we do a lot of programs there, like performance, architecture, and art program, and then children's program, and yeah, many things. So I think it's also good for me to do this kind of projects, like outside of my practice. Yeah, I think, yeah, I'm sure it's gonna make, when I came back to the studio, enrich my knowledge, my approach to the work. So maybe I will make from anything, I don't know. Hopefully, I can have a publication, like writing books, because now in my studio I have a few assistants that specialize doing research about history, like about Bandung art, and also about anything. So hopefully I can articulate my passion not only with artwork but also with projects.
Yeah, that's one thing that I was really struck when you showed us around, is that, you know, you're sharing the space with your wife, your father, with other young artists, and maybe even like assistants who might also be like, you know, budding artists in their own way. That the whole space is both a creative and collaborative space, because I think there's just a lot of the energy flowing, and I imagine like a lot of talk and conversation going on. And even how you're talking now about, you're looking at your father's practice, or like what he's trying to do. So a lot of that is about, I think, just sharing, and sharing in that space. And I think that's, you know, you talk about, and I can see that you support a lot, but you also talk about how you receive back, I guess, the energy, and you like being with younger artists and other artists as well, to I think just be in an environment where everyone is thinking, talking, working, making. I think that's really quite wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
mean, yeah.
no, please go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I like to be surrounded by young and fresh mind to keep me updated, because yeah, the pace now is really fast. Between just only 1 year, and then there's another new things coming, and yeah, I think in my for me, just to keep me fresh and always having a dialogue with them is more than enough. Like,
Yeah.
it's really inspiring.
Yeah. So maybe I'll have maybe one more question for you. Looks like, and then we can start to wrap up today's session, which is, can you tell us actually what does Galian mean? Does that have a particular reference?
Oh yeah,
Which is the name of the
Galian.
work in the
Yeah,
Sea Focus exhibition.
Galian mean excavating, like for mining. So because in the works I use mineral pigment, synthetic metal mineral, and also a new body of work. Now, before I always keep the works flat, but now like I'm digging more possibilities to make the works different from my previous work. And I also use coal, so it's also from the mining area in Sulawesi. So I think this excavation, but also synonym with like digging something more deeply about the ideas of works, something like that. Is that
Yeah. So I mean, that's very
clear?
much I think I see in a lot of your works, because it's this idea of uncovering, build, kind of in some ways, you're kind of trying to peel away the layers. So a lot of your works are taking on ideas about time, about again, because you're working with ash, with coal. So these are very much materials from the earth, and they hold the time of earth, and creating these elements. So and then you're working with something that's synthetic. So you get different layers of time both building up in your work, and at the same time that you're also trying to excavate and peel away layers. So it's a very interesting dual process that you have there. So, with that, I'm going to start to bring us a close. I just want to say on behalf of everyone, thank you so much, Arin, for taking us through your
Thank you.
space and
Thank you for
sharing
having
it.
me.
And also, I would say the great privilege of, showing your work with us at SEA Focus. I've taken visitors through, and, people do really want to go up close, and they want to look sideways, and just experience the physicality of this really very large work. So it's really something quite wonderful and special for us to have it here. I want to just thank you for that. It's been such a great experience. So again, thank you so much for hosting us today. And with that, I'm going to bring this session to a close. Thank you everyone for joining us.
Thank
If
you.
you are in Singapore, today is our last day of SEA Focus. Try and make it down. Okay, if not, we'll see you around. Thank you, everyone.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Stay safe, everybody.
Stay safe.
Bye.
Bye-bye.